Hello everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on the topic Exploiting Cloud with Live Demo, led by our senior cybersecurity analyst, Jeet Rajkumar. The pandemic has given rise to a surge in cloud adoption by organizations across the world. And as we have seen, there have been numerous cases of data breaches. It's crucial to be aware of these threats and the way we can protect our organizations from such attacks. So, without any further ado, I request Jeet to kindly take over. Over to you, Jeet.
Uh, Hello, hi. This is Jeet Rajkumar. I welcome you all to the webinar. Um, so, just a brief intro about myself. I'm currently working as a training and cybersecurity specialist in IAS and NI, and these are my few skills which I currently work on, and these are my certifications. Okay, cool then. Um, Now let me go back here. So what is our today agenda is, today we are going to see about the case study on current cloud exploitation and current environment. And other thing is frequent attacks on S3, and other is cloud service attacks. And last but not least is on your new type of technology, that is nothing but your attack on serverless. Okay, so these are the different types. So mostly we're not going to in depth. We are sticking to medium phase. Okay, so please let me know any more questions in it. Okay, okay, cool. So I think everybody are aware now, based on pandemic or pre-pandemic, there are many wide adoption of application in in cloud environment. Either let it be your PCI DSS environment, or it can be your what do you call, um, HIPAA or GDPR environment. Okay, so there are some guidelines where it is given how to store data and how do you manage the data. Okay, so there are many things which is going on. Okay, so what I want to correlate with current case study is, if you observe here, like if you see, it's all November 2020 or either November 17 or something. Okay, in spite of all security measures taken by AWS, okay, for giving the access or applying the policy. So for example, so whenever you want to give any write access configuration before 2 years, okay, so you don't ask you any consent or any block. Okay, they don't have any like that. Okay, so after seeing more breaches in 18 and 17 or 19, okay, so they introduce new features like giving a consent option. So if you make your storage options which is there in public for your applications, okay, so they gave options, okay, like to restrict and give consent. So whenever you give anything public, right, so you will be aware, double aware. Okay, okay, so I'm giving this public and consenting it. Okay, and you will be giving a permission. But what happened is, due to automation, whether it is a hybrid kind of an automation or a native cloud automation. So what happens is, companies right now will keep on storing some PDFs or OTP information, okay, in your S3 buckets. Okay, so mostly they'll be using in service accounts, automated service accounts, to manage this. Okay, so still what they will do is they will give you the permissions. Okay, either if it's not a public access, or they will try to give you an authenticated access. Okay, so that's why if you see here, that's why still S3 buckets are still it is leaking the crits or the storage information. Okay, that is the reason you can ask me, Jeet, after having all these configurations and consent, but still, you know, we are having the information. So the reason is this is one of the reason. Okay. Or they might have the S3 bucket at in the VPC at the backend. Okay, so whenever any traffic goes, it doesn't go through your S3 bucket. Okay, so it goes through your VPC, then it goes through your S3 bucket. So these might be your different options which might be available. Okay, so that's what about, you know, the brief the case study which I was talking about. And let me come back to the next slide. Yep. So other thing I want to talk about is like Jeet, when we talk about cloud exploitation or cloud security, mostly it is, you know, misconfiguration which is leading to your the attacks mostly. And based on the breach scenario, okay, whether the misconfig can be considered as a medium or it can be considered as a high level. Okay, so if you're having a financial company and you're storing important PDFs which is present in your S3 bucket, and if some people or some company is able to exploit your S3 bucket and still come inside, means then there is a problem. Okay, so that means either they can use the S3 bucket for store any malicious file or any other different for you know, malicious usage. Okay, so depending upon the usage of the bucket and the environment, if it's a PCIDS environment, then the misconfig will either lead to a high level or either low level. Okay, and so whatever we are going to see in our current, I know the today's exploitation, our intention here is the misconfigurations which will lead to your you know, privilege escalation or any bucket misconfiguration. Okay, so that in that perspective we are going to see. We are not going to see about any exploiting your Azure service. I mean, Microsoft Azure itself. Okay, not that kind of an exploit. Okay, and yep. So so these are the different aspects of the one side of the kill chain. Like for example, if you see here, if you expose your crits, okay, either in your GitLab in your local environment, okay, or in a GitHub, or your mobile application, or your, like, you know, Android and iOS, when you're having in a hybrid kind of an application. Okay, so you might have the keys inside in that. Okay, or you might have a website. Okay, so there might be some different scenarios what I told earlier. Okay, in this case, if any key is been stolen, okay, so ideally what you try to do is you go to your breach in a workload or your mission, VM mission, okay, and you try to find out whether snapshot or instances or anything is being misconfigured, or if your applications over there. Okay, so you will try either a infrastructure way of attack or a application way of attack, so it's up to you. Okay, and ultimately what you try to do is you try to get inside any storage option to extract the data. Okay, that's what you see in the third and fourth. Okay, so mostly what happens is, if it is a very sensitive environment, sometimes what they will do is they'll have one VPC. In that what they will do is they'll, from that VPC only you can access your S3 buckets. Okay, that means you need to get to that VM to get to the S3 bucket. And again, what you need to check for is what are the different types of misconfigurations are available, whether I can check those misconfigurations. Okay, those are the checks which you need to check. Okay, yep. So this is what I want to talk about. So ultimately, if one of the environment, if your EC2 instance or your VM is getting hacked or breached either by your application, okay, then we'll start one by one. Okay, So again, it depends how your client environment is. Okay. Sometimes what happens is you might get an application testing. Okay. So in that, what they do is they will mask the S3 bucket information well. So whenever you try to access your application, you might not aware that S3 bucket is being used at the backend. Okay. So those are the different types of information which is available. Okay. Okay, cool then. So this is one of the kill chain. Okay. So I believe everybody are aware, like, how the S3 buckets are used, and how you can find those information. Basically, if you go for Azure SaaS, that is counterpart in for your AWS, you look for the URLs and the domain names and how it is being stored. Okay. So similarly, the same vice versa we are seeing here. Okay. The bucket name, uh, and the regions. Okay. So for example, if you see the bucket name .s3 Amazon, or sometime S3 Amazon aws.com/bucket name dot. Okay. So these are the different types of naming which will be present. Okay. And what are the different levels of security can be implemented? So I'm just giving a brief intro of this S3 and buckets, so that we'll understand that what is our maximum capability. Okay. You know, trying to exploit. Okay. Once we understood the security level, so one, either you can apply through IAMs. Okay. And other is like ACLs, your access control list. So you apply through the bucket, and again you apply to the object. I mean, that is nothing but your what are the PDF file you're putting it. So what you might do is sometime you'll make the bucket which has a private and object as a writable. Object as a rewrite download. Okay, object level. And again, you have bucket policies, the same thing which I spoke earlier. So if you put a policy in the bucket, it doesn't mean that it is inherited to your objects like your PDF or MP4 or something. And sometimes your encryption, like a server side and client side encryption, which you do mostly. So either the key can be in the server side or in the client side. Again, so if you want to do it in the client side, you have to have your respective SDKs, either Java or different SDKs, and you can use it to exploit it. Okay. Or you can use it to encrypt. So sometimes what I've seen is like they pre-sign the URLs. Okay, so you just click the URL, it goes to the particular bucket, and you can get the information. That means any authenticated user or somebody can access. Okay, so these are the different types of security implementation which is present in your S3 buckets. And okay, so let me go here. So how do you do recon mostly? It's like you look for the URLs. Okay, so that means you look for what is the endpoints are there. Okay, so these are some recon points, either your JS files or your API endpoints. Okay, or any subdomains. I believe everybody are aware, is there any, so whenever you have an application, okay, if the CNAME is been pointing to your S3 bucket, okay, so we have to be aware first whether it is, it is pointed to our S3 bucket. Okay, sometimes we'll consider, normally iasecurity.in. It might look a website, but it might be hosted in your S3 bucket. Okay, so you might have chances. Okay, and yep, so these are the different places you need to look for, either in your mobile application or either your or in the browser. Okay, while you're loading your application in your browser. So these are the different recon points. Okay, and I didn't add one more thing here. So for example, if you get an email, right? So for example, you submit any form in your client side, so they give you an acknowledgement receipt. Okay, so if you get any kind of a receipt, what they might do is they might do a base64 encoding, all these things. But when you go or click on the receipt, it sometimes automatically downloads it, or what happens is it'll go to a particular URL. From there, you can click the download option. Okay, so they might give a different options. Okay, so we need to check whether it is going to that any URL. Okay, I forgot to add that point over there. Okay, so yep, check for the email receipts when you're getting from your client applications. Okay, so these are the different types of recon. And let's go here. Yeah, so one more thing is like what are the ways you can find an application. Okay, um, so we are going to do a demo, but before that I want to give some intro on this, so that when we are doing this demo, okay, so that everybody will be in the same page. Okay, uh, so ideally whenever you're testing in any application, please look for this different headers or the CNAMEs. Okay, so that if they are hiding behind any domain, you can find out these details. Okay, so ideally you can use it for either subdomain takeover, or either you can use it for your finding your S3 buckets. Okay, sometimes what happens is even if you go to the public S3 bucket, okay, they might not be available. Okay, either they would have blocked that what they have done is either they mapped one bucket to the another bucket. Okay, face the similar scenario when we tried looking for it in a particular MX tool. I was not able to see, but what happened is they were pointing two different buckets in the CNAME record. Okay, ideally which was in the email. So when we click on that particular email, it points to some one bucket, and then when we try to access it, I believe it was behind a different endpoint or something. Okay, so when we tried using a S3 bucket public URL, or I mean the public bucket finder and all, we are not able to find it. I believe the reason might be either one is behind the VPC endpoint, and other that bucket which they have mapped, right, that might be accessible only private. Okay, so those were the different scenarios we faced over there. Okay, um, okay, cool. So now if you see here, so try to look for your NS lookup and find which region and where they are, the S3 bucket. Okay, so ideally you can see here. Okay, and other is like you can use the headers. Okay, if they have not removed it. Okay, and similarly if you see here, uh, get API version, cloud docs, methods and all, and you can see in the response AWS, Amazon, server 3 like that. Okay, so basically if you see in the API also, in API perspective. Okay, and I believe everybody are aware if proper error handling is not done. Okay, so you can see different error messages where you can see at the back of when you try any application. Okay, so again you can get this information also, and you can start doing the basic recon steps. Okay, um, so so possible attack scenario or misconfigurations. So these are the few checkpoints after you get the bucket name. Okay, check whether it is public or not. So whether anybody can access. So there are two types of groups in that. One is all groups, and that means public access and authenticated user access. Okay, so either both will be enabled or both will be disabled, or all authenticated users can access will be enabled, or public will be enabled. So again it depends. Okay, and again your private URLs have been anything's been disclosed. So if you are doing any source code review of your any application, okay, mostly if or if you do a reverse engineering of your APK or IPA file related to your mobile applications, okay, Mostly if they're using AWS, you might be able to see that S3 bucket URL will be presented if it is not encoded or base64 encoded or different encoding they have implemented. Okay, and please check on that. And other thing is, please check whether anybody can allow to write. Okay, so please check all these different components. Okay, whether they anybody can access or write option, and subdomain takeover is possible. So in case if the CNAME, let's say iissecurity.in mapped to info.iissecurity.in, okay, that is a bucket name. So info iissecurity has been deleted. So I believe everybody are aware, right? The buckets are unique name. Okay, so if you know the region and if you know the bucket name, so if no such buckets are existing or not, okay, you can go and create the bucket. Okay, so these are the different options which you can try. Okay, so we are not going to do all subdomain takeover or every attack. Okay, so basically we'll be looking into what are the different options, what are different basic attacks, okay, on like checking the permission, how the applications are being worked. Okay, we'll be seeing that. Okay, so let me quickly bring the command prompt which I've been showing you. Uh, One second. Uh, One second. Okay, so let me bring my command prompt. Okay, I hope this is clear for everybody. Okay, so let's say you have an what do you call, uh, let's say ping. Okay, so data as such unknown.ga. Okay, so this is one of the site. Okay, so let us do one recon first. Okay, so let me bring that here. Okay, so this is the site index.html. Okay, so I believe it is redirecting to me some page. So okay, so there is some site which is available. Okay, so now if I want to find out this particular, if you see here, right, you don't see any information unless you have this error message, right? So you see here, right, data sh.unknown.ga. Okay, it looks like what do you call, some normal website which has in the domain name. Okay, so if I want to find out, as we spoke earlier, so ideally it is there in S3 AP Southwell Amazon. Okay, so you can do NS lookup, or what you can do is you can use one second, or you can use DNS dumpster. Okay, go to the DNS dumpster also, and you can try the same here. Okay, so it gives you that it is from Amazon. Okay, data as such unknown, and this is the IP. Okay, so you can find from what do you call, the DNS dumpster or wherever it is there. Okay, so now what I'll try to do is, now I need to find the CNAME or the any other different bucket name if available. Okay, so in case if it is available, let me check that also. MX toolbox DNS lookup. Uh, so let me check, is it having any? Okay, So no problem. So what about unknown.ga? What about the CNAME for unknown.ga? The main site. Let me do it the end. Okay, so again it is pointing to data hash. Okay, not an issue. Okay, so we are just confirming. Okay, do we have any different files or any domain information? Okay, so sometimes what you might see is you might see a different record name. Okay, so we are just verifying it. That's it. Okay, so in case if you find any different name, then you can try to access that particular bucket. Okay, so I believe so that is the bucket name. Okay, so what we'll do is so we'll use once again, let me increase the properties color. I think this is font size. Let me increase it. Okay, so let me try AWS yes S3 API. Okay, so let me try put object, or let's say let's try get object. uh, Get object, uh, find ACL. Okay, hyphen bucket. Okay, let's try this. um, sorry, sorry, did I give the correct name? AWS S3 API. One second. List hyphen object hyphen bucket. Oh, sorry, list objects. Let me see list functionality is working. Okay, so if you see here, so initially is they are given some list options which is available. Okay, so I believe there are two files are there. Okay, so just try. So basically, we are doing a small enumeration one by one. Okay, let me see whether it goes here. Okay, so I can try index or Docker data like this. If any environmental variables or modify variables, if it is present, then it is very problematic. Okay, so mostly they will have some config information in your S3 buckets. So please check that also. And next is we'll see whether any write option is there or not. So ideally, I'm using AWS configure a different profile to access this kind of information. Okay. So if let me try running the basic instead of bucket ACL. Let me check. And one more thing, why we are, I think it, okay. So if you see here, they are given the full control, okay, for all authenticated users, okay. So there is no conditional statement, okay. So basically there has to be conditional statement such that only from particular this VM has to be, what do you call the request generation has to be there, okay, or it has to be from this particular VPC endpoints, or sometimes if it is a public bucket, then you can give 00. If it is very sensitive, then you should have this conditional statements over there. Okay, so if there is no conditional statements, then you can start doing attacks. And most of the time, don't feel that you will get this get and list ACLs. Okay, so what I've seen is they have disabled every list get bucket ACLs. I mean list and get items. Okay, and only put object or put object ACL will be working only for that particular buckets. Okay, so I believe you, if you've gone across the testing, you might come across that scenarios. Okay, so now what we'll try to. So one more thing, why we are not doing UI in the sense. So either two cases here, as we saw in the kill chain. One, assuming we have breached your IAM credential, and second, you are using your own creds and you're trying it. Okay, in this right now we are assuming that we are having our own creds. Okay, AWS creds, and we are trying that exploitation. Okay, so ideally what we'll do is S3 put object. Okay, and ideally you put the bucket, what are the bucket name is. Okay, sorry, bucket name is. Okay, and then let's see key, key g dot txt. So body also we are telling body g dot txt. I think we have to get a tag path to a file. Okay, I believe I did not create the file here. Okay, let me create one file immediately. Yeah, touch g sorry, not that, sorry, type okay, one second. Let me create that file quickly, so that we'll have no info. Once again, g dot txt. Okay, so let me go to desktop over here. Okay, so now let me try to put that. Okay, so it was able to create the file. Okay, so once you try a get object or put object, okay, so what you try to do is try to see, or again, what is it object ACL and all. Okay, I believe it will be full control only. Where is it object here? Bucket. Okay, now try key and g dot txt. Instead of list, try get object hyphen ACL. So okay, so it is having okay, so these are the different owners and grants. Okay, I believe this is nothing but the username. Okay, so that's why it's giving a canonical ID. Okay, so this you can find when you go to IAM security under that in settings. Okay, so again and again I'm reminding you, sometimes list get will not work, but they would have forgot to put the object details. Okay, so only four commands might be very important for us. Put object ACL. Okay, and get, I mean, put object. Okay, and how you can verify it, put all these things and try to access through your IDs. Okay, so be very specific, don't use multiple commands and waste your time. Okay, in case if you're having a more number of buckets, and if they're having public private and they're hiding behind your applications. Okay, so please use different commands. Okay, let's say S3. So now what we'll do is the same thing. Only what we'll do is we'll put the ACL. Our main interest is ACL. Okay, rest all bucket is there, key is there. Okay, so here what we are going to do is okay, grant hyphen full control. Okay, just put email address. Okay, equal to AWS sec test at outlook.com and hyphen grant hyphen okay, either you can do grant this control or one second guys, or you can give grant full control. Okay, grant read, let me give grant read. Okay, once again I'm just trying to find that all authenticated users. No. Okay, for this particular object, right? Okay, one second. I'm just trying to add full control and read. Okay. Put object ACL name is wrong. Once again, AWS S3 put object ACL hyphen bucket name key. Okay, and grant full control email address. I hope that my email address is correct. ADDRE ADD. Okay, I think I made a mistake here. ADDRES. RESS. Let me try. Okay, I think they are not allowing put object ACL or some AWS S3 API put object ACL. Okay, grant full control. Okay, one second. I think I made one more small mistake over here. Okay, I think I have made some mistake or something. Once again, let me check again. AWS S3 API put object ACL hyphen bucket hyphen key g.text. Okay, hyphen grant full control email address.com. Okay, grant read access. Okay, let me take out the email and let me see at the full control. Okay, then I think my email might be the problem. Let me check later. So what I will do is let me get object ACL of that particular bucket now. Okay, so right now I'm given a read. Okay, so a read or write, so I can give a full control. Okay, it depends. So here you can see, right? So either you can upload any malware or you can use it for your sharing. Okay, it's up to you. How do you want to do it? Okay, and one more thing. So in case if you want to download any files or like this, just go to the particular bucket. Let's type g.txt. Okay. Okay, so still is there. So I need to give a full permission. Okay, so let me check whether it is there in that particular bucket or not. Let me do a list 1 second. Yeah, so ideally it is there. Okay, next what you can do is add more full control, the email addresses. Okay, you can add all those things and try. Okay, so we'll come to know. I want to try one more thing. Actually, I need to give full control to particular email address alone in case. Okay, I need to check on this. Okay, so ideally you can give read or write or list. Okay, or what are the full permission you can give over there. Okay, So these are the different ways you can implementing your S3 security. Okay, I'm just hurrying up because we need to cover two more things. So if you want to download, no, not an issue. Add more ACLs in that. Okay, add that put object and read or full control in that. Okay, and give for all users. Okay. So these are the different ways you can do for your S3 bucket. Okay. Again, I'm telling you, find out where your S3 bucket is present, okay, in behind your application, and start doing that recon. Okay. So that is one. So look for all the S3 bucket information. And second thing is the common service is nothing but your one of the most complex one is your IAM services. Okay. So ideally you have your roles, managed policy, and inline policy. Okay. So what happens is you might have roles where it is attached to your automation. For example, you have your Lambada, okay, and you have your CloudWatch or Cloud Event and S3 buckets. Okay. So what in this scenario, what happens is you want your serverless Lambda to access any resources. For example, if you get any alert trigger, okay, CloudWatch trigger, and which passes to your Lambda, okay, and it wants to make changes, either revert the changes or report the changes to somebody. Okay, so that means you need to give some permissions, okay, to access the particular resources. So you can make, without user intervention, you can create roles. Okay, that is one of the example I can say. Another thing is a normal roles, what you do in your Active Directory. And again, managed policy, yes, you have your AWS given policy. And another thing is we need to careful is about your inline policies. Okay, though it might be easy, the problem is if you add, let's say there are 15 users, and when you add some inline policies, okay, so you don't have any central repository to look. Okay, so let's say I am accessing EC2 instance, okay, full access, and let's say for temporary period I need some access. So you don't make a sometime what you'll do is they will add an inline policy such that he can access for some time in the S3 bucket or something. Okay, so we have to be very careful when you're having that inline policy kind of information. Okay, and so what might be the different use cases is like you have your any certificates or any access keys, okay, and any unused SSH public keys, okay, and any users API calling unused users. So for example, he might temp user might be created, okay, and access key and secret key would have given to him, and he would have left the organization, or project might be over, okay, like the third party vendor. Okay, so those are the different possible scenarios you should be looking for. Okay, I believe everybody will be removing the deprecated AWS policies. I think they will alert you that you are using the list of different policies. So I believe you will be removing that. Okay, so cool. So these are the different kind of environments you'll be facing it. Okay, now in case of a demo, let me once again let me bring the demo. Okay, so let me one second, let me bring back the slide here. Okay, so let me bring my AWS console here. So either you can do two ways, either you can access through the portal, or either you can do through your what do you call different commands which you will be having it. Okay, like list the users or what version they are using it. Okay, So you might have different kind of options which will be available. Okay, you can try to access it. Okay, so one is like, for example, let me go to the AWS console first. One second, let me bring that AWS console. Okay. So if I'm not wrong, there are more number of users which is present right now. Okay. So this is a general one. Okay. So if you want, you can access through the portal. Okay. Through the one is like through the portal, another is your like your CLI. Okay. So ideally, what everybody will do is, like, in case if you're doing through the portal, one, like, you go here and you look for your policy versions. Okay, either you can do for an audit, or either you can do for a what do you call, uh, or you can refer the console port or something. Okay. Ideally, you can see here, like, you have different policies is being attached. Okay. And if you see your admin access and all, and one more thing I forgot to tell you. Okay, so whenever you see full access, right, how will you come to know? So for example, if you go, I believe everybody are aware about this concept. um, so if you see here, you see, right, effect, action, allow, and resources. So everything is a wildcard. So as I stated earlier, okay, you cannot have this every resource as a wildcard. Okay, and you will have number of issues. Okay, when you're having a wildcard kind of an options. Okay, so please check always whenever you're having any application. Okay, you're having any wildcards are being there. Okay, and then start doing attacks. Okay, so so let me look for that any users. Okay, so let me take one user right now. um, okay, so let me go to Brocom. Okay, if you see here, there are many policies are there. Okay, so one, if you see in the policy here, this is the internal policy. Okay, and again, if you see here, it is all, I think the internal policy they gave us S3 and resources all. Okay, so in case if your credentials are being compromised, okay, so either in your GitLab or either in your application, okay, if you find that access and secret key, okay, so you are able to get inside and you will be able to access. Okay, so that means two types. If you're compromising, then you're going through your CMD and accessing it. And other, if you're voluntary, they're giving for your third party review, or this kind of scenario, then you can do it through your UI. And so one, there's an issue with this. Okay, the inline policy. Okay, and other, if you see create policy version list get, okay, that's fine. Okay, okay, but if you see here, this is a problem. The problem is, if you see here, it is telling you to create an access key. Okay, so this list of user, this user is having a create access key option. Okay, which they should not do that. Okay, so maybe they might have some what do you call, internally they might give some the temporary list or information or something. Okay, so which we might not be aware. Okay, so what we can do is, let's say, first we'll try one more thing. One second. First, let me go to the portal here. Okay, AWS. So in case if my users are compromised, okay, AWS IAM list users. Okay, Okay, so you are getting more number of users here. Okay, so now what we will do is, now I'm sorry, I'm just going very faster. AWS IAM. Okay, let me copy and paste it here. Um, AWS IAM. This the username. Okay, let's try Veer. Okay, so he's having admin access and all. So let's try Kunal Karthik. Rukon. Okay. So these are the policy versions, as you saw, we saw earlier, right? Then again, we need to go and check the list the policies. Okay, what are the list attached policies and all. Um, okay, now what we can do is, so these are the different users, right? We'll try to create a different access key. Okay, so let's try. Okay, username Veer. Okay, so do you think it will create access key and secret key? Yes, it's creating it. Okay, so the reason is you can create two times access key and secret key. Okay, it's not that once a user is created, you will have only one user key and one secret key. No, it's not like that. Okay, if you have a create access key functionality, then you can create one more access key. Okay, so once you list it and you find it, then you create the access and secret. Now what you can do is you can configure this username and password. Okay, I mean access key and secret key. Then what you can do is you can use Paku, or how do you pronounce it? Uh, Either try to disable the CloudTrail before creating the user or after creating the user. Okay, whichever the method you feel, it's fine. So ideally service CloudTrail you have to run, and then data CloudTrail you get the info. Okay, then run disrupted permission or CloudTrail. Okay, ideally you're offing the CloudTrail. Okay, so these are the different way. Then ideally you can start doing different attacks, the post exploitation or persistence. Okay, and other is, I believe, go to your policies. Let's say the user. So I'm going quickly through the UI since we are restricted to time. Okay, and again this I took from one of the demo applications. So if you can see here, like these are the policy. Okay, so let me go to the policies. Rainer. Okay, if you click the policy, again version. Okay, so ideally check for any different types of versions are there. Okay, and check for what is the default one. Okay, what is the default permission version. Okay, and look into the different types. Okay, so condition we are not going to use it. Okay, there's no use in that. Again, only list and get objects. Okay, and I believe the 4. So it has all kind of permission. Okay, so what you can do is, again you can do the same thing in command prompt. Okay, just click the particular option here and set as default. Okay, so ideally this will become your default and you can try any kind of permissions. Okay, so these are the I believe this is one of the two scenarios which you can follow. Okay, so due to time we are not doing in the CMD, otherwise we'll be doing in the CMD. Okay, so these are the different options which you can uh, you know um, try in your cloud applications. Okay, or your VAPT, or okay. And next is your serverless. I believe everybody are aware about your serverless. So Lambda, it is called in your AWS, and function as a service. You can call it as in your in Azure. Okay. So basically, what they're trying to say is, don't have to bring any environment. Just upload the code and select the environment, whether Python 3.7 or whatever the different versions. Okay. So based on that, you deploy here, and what happens is you might store all these values in your S3 buckets. Okay. So ideally, regarding the security perspective, you can use it for your CloudWatch as a proactive defense mechanism. So for example, if somebody is deleting a VPC, that alert will be triggered to your Lambda, and then what happens is it checks whether if it is admin or proper user or not, then it will restore. Okay, particular tied up name, so that you can use as a defense mechanisms. Okay. And so if you've seen the previous one, S3 and IAM, it's always clubbed together, or it is intertwined. Okay. So again, check for any possible IAM policies, check any S3 is linked, and if you're especially if you're hosting any application for your OTP or a PDF storage or PDF conversion or whatever it may be, check for the different attacks. Okay. And ideally check for your regular OS 10 attacks. Okay. So these are the different possible attack scenarios which you can try in your S3, in your serverless application. Okay. So what I mean is, again, the same concept which I'm bringing you here. Just 1 second. Just give me 1 second and just, okay. Okay. So again, what you can do is the same type of methodologies. The first thing what we'll do is the same commands. First we list the functions. Okay. So in case if you know the region, no issue. Okay. So these are the, oh sorry. So again, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the command over here. Okay. 1 second. Lambda. Okay. List function, and you can mention the region. Okay. Okay. EAP South 1. Okay, so these are the different types of functions which is available. Okay, so you can see what is the handler memory size, whether any different option. Okay, so these are the different Java. Okay, so you can see all these different formats, right? And check anything sensitive is being passed through here or not. Okay. No info. Anything. Yeah, can you see it? One is like your variables. If in case if you're following environmental variables, okay, can you see your app secret? Okay, so they might be passing any information. Okay, so this also you can tell that you can bring into your findings. Okay, they're passing the sensitive information. Okay, so please check in your applications, okay, whether the environmental variables have been passed anything sensitive. Okay. I don't believe anything is here, except here they're telling that no, the home task. Okay, now what we can do is, so once again, so the function, right? Let me once again. So let us try one more scenario here. So ideally, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the function name. Okay, to understand. Oh, let me do AWS Lambda. Okay, I see here this Lambda function is having some S3 code. So I believe the codes are stored in this particular repository, and I believe it is a signed URL. So if you see here, right, algorithm, where is it? ADM signature head. Oh, I believe it's a pre-signed URI or something of your S3 bucket. Okay. So then now let me go here and test it out. Whether I'm able to open. Let me open it in a RAR file. So now if you open, you can see here. So don't save it. If you save it, you will not be able to see. It will be storing as some box, but rather you can open it in the WinRAR. Okay, in the zip format. So ideally you can see the code. Okay. Okay, you can copy it and you can extract. Okay. So it might contain some file information. Okay, so this is one way of what you're doing is, one, you're checking the any app secret is being passed or not. Okay, you are able to find. And second thing is, you check for any repository where you are able to download something, that means the code functionalities. Okay, so once you get the code right, you can understand whether is there any malicious or you can understand the code, and then you can start doing a different types of attacks. Okay, and one more thing is, always please look for the get policy one. Just last one thing, I was trying to show you guys. Policy, get policy. Okay, again refer to this policy one. Okay, look for which account. Can you see the owner? It is giving you owner information, and it tells you the bucket information. Okay, so if you find anything like this, okay, so now go and try S3 attacks. Okay, and try all these different types of S3 attacks or IAM attacks. Okay, so you can try again all these things. Okay, find out more details. So ideally it is giving you information where it is stored, an account number, and S3 bucket information. Okay, so it gives you all information here. Okay, so these are the different aspects which you can look into. Okay, and one more thing I want to tell you is, there's a one more application which gives you a whole lot of details. Okay, like this serverless goat. So there, it's a very pretty good application. You can always look into that. Okay, so ideally you can test the same here. So once you understood all those dogs and all, okay, let's say TTP. Okay, now you submit it. Okay, so generally it is going to that, so it's giving the translated version. Okay, so I'm just using that default, the serverless Go to, what do you call, the free application. Okay, so they have top 10s. Can you see here? So right now we are limited to time, so that's why I'm focusing on the brief intro only. So again, the same concepts. Try all the different attacks. Okay, privilege escalation or data injection. Okay, try all those different. Don't forget that. Okay, and let's try ls. Okay, like this is a command injection. Okay, so we can see here, right? Nexus module package of JSON. Okay, so it gives us a different information. Okay, see document data Microsoft. Okay, so now you are able to perform application type of attacks. Okay, so ideally please check whenever you face any serverless application. Okay, it's not about only checking the OS top 10 attacks. Okay, check the policies. Again, is it linking to S3 buckets or anything? They're disclosing any user information. Okay, and check for any command, whether you are able, when you have list of functions. Okay, whether you are able to invoke that function. Do you have that permission? So either it can be a compromised one, or either it can be a compromised user, or either all access user. Okay, again it depends. So the type of testing you're doing, either it can be how do I say, the how do you say, uh, the client is giving you a permission, giving the UI and the access key, secret key, and you're doing testing, or either you're going to, or either you're doing a black box testing. Okay, it depends. Okay, so these are the different possible scenarios. Right now, it is, you can see. Okay, I believe these are the common scenarios. If you take any web application, you can come across. Okay, and to counter Azure or GPC, just the same. Whatever the functionalities we saw, right, S3 IAM and thing, same things we should look for your Azure and your GPC. Okay, only the naming conventions will be different and the methods. Okay, ideally this should be the same scenario. Okay, um, and these are the few reference docs which I refer to. Okay, and so any questions? Any questions which I can? Um, any questions? So I know I've been very hurry. Sorry for, I think it's a 1 hour webinar session. I think I hurried very faster. So that's why, I bought the UI to show this information. But trust me, we'll not be seeing any UIs when we are doing any testing. Okay. I mean, if you're doing a black box testing, so mostly you'll be using the command prompts. Okay. So we need to check out all the different commands, and then you can start doing these attacks. Okay, and again, when you're trying for any serverless, please refer to this OS top 10 attacks. Okay, so any questions, any doubts, any questions?
Please post your questions in the Q&A section.
You can post any of your questions related to these 3 attacks, or so we are taking only common attacks. We are not taken any EC2 or EBS or different scenario right now. Is there a possibility to share the PPT file and the recording for references? I think Anurag will be the right person for that.
Yes, we shall be sharing the PPT and the recording in the coming week. So maybe by Monday or Tuesday, we'll be sharing that.
Okay.
Okay, so let's wait for another 1 to 2 minutes. And if there are no questions, we can wrap it up.
Sure. So you can let me know any questions or. So these are common basic checklist you can have. Okay. Do you have any reference links for Azure testing? I do have. but I did not correlate it. Maybe we'll try to gather in a GitHub or something, and we'll try to post it over there. Yes, right now I'm not having it, and I can prefer you to the cloud testing by CCSK. So if you go to your CCSK cloud pen testing guide, okay, so in that also they have a different checklist and the reference links also. Okay, that is one of the things you can use it. Cloud pen testing by CCSK guide, playbook guide. Okay, that is the authentic one. Another thing is there are a few GitHubs links which I need to look. Okay, thank you so much. Ideally, I did not. We did not go full in depth, full demos, as we do one attack in itself, it will take more than 1.5 hours. All different many scenarios. So yes.
I guess there are no further questions in the Q&A section. So anything else, Jeet, that you would want to add?
No, Anurag. From my side, it's done.
Okay. Okay, thank you everyone for joining us for the webinar, and thank you so much, Jeet, for sharing such good insights. I'm sure the audience must have got really good information from this webinar. Thank you everyone, stay safe. We shall be sharing the recordings in a couple of days. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, bye.